The fire cracked softly inside the wide stone hearth, its glow spilling across the grand room of the ranch house like a golden secret. Outside, the wind howled over the empty Texas fields, but inside the walls, silence reigned. James Callahan, the richest cowboy in the county, sat back in his leather chair with a glass of untouched whiskey at his side, his hat tilted low and his eyes closed, not because he was asleep, but because tonight he had a dangerous curiosity tugging at his pride. For months now, his new maid, Clara, a shy young woman with downcast eyes and a heart that seemed too tender for the rough edges of his world, had moved quietly through his home like a ghost of gentleness. She never asked for anything, never complained, never lifted her gaze to meet his unless necessity forced it. And though James was a man used to attention, used to women who laughed too loud and wanted too much, something about Clara's quietness unsettled him, intrigued him. Did she see him as nothing more than her employer, or did her silence hide something deeper? Tonight, he meant to find out, so he pretended to sleep. His chair creaked as he adjusted his weight, letting his arms hang heavy against the worn leather, his chest rising and falling in the rhythm of feigned slumber. He slowed his breathing, softened his jaw, and waited. Across the room, he could hear the soft rustle of fabric as Clara moved about, tidying the last remnants of the evening. She thought he had retired already. She always did the final rounds of the house when she believed him absent, but he had stayed, deliberately. And now the hush of her steps came closer, closer, until he could almost feel the warmth of her presence standing over him. James fought the urge to open his eyes. What would she do? A real maid would simply drape a blanket, snuff the lamp, and retreat. But something in his gut told him Clara was different. And then, against all expectations, he felt it, the faintest touch, like a whisper, brushing the side of his hand. Her fingers, hesitant and trembling, lingered there, not to steal, not to intrude, but to trace the calluses of a man's life written into his skin. She drew back instantly, as though the touch had burned her, but not before James's heart lurched against his ribs. The test had already gone further than he imagined, but Clara wasn't finished. With a quick glance around the room, ensuring no one watched, she bent down slowly and rested her cheek against his shoulder, just for a moment, closing her eyes as though surrendering to a dream she dared not claim in waking hours. James froze. His plan to toy with her suddenly collapsed beneath the weight of the truth pressing into him. The shy maid harbored a quiet, aching tenderness for him, a feeling she kept locked so deep inside that only in stolen moments, when she thought he would never know, did she allow herself to breathe it out. And in that instant, James's world tilted. This was no ordinary affection. This was purity, raw and unguarded, in a world where everything around him was tainted by wealth, greed, and games. He wanted to move, to take her hand, to tell her he had seen her heart. But something held him still, caught between guilt for deceiving her and awe at the revelation she had unknowingly gifted him. The fire snapped louder, and Clara jerked back, her breath shallow, her cheeks flushed. She smoothed her apron quickly, murmured something about the hour, and began to step away. But James, no longer able to bear the act, opened his eyes. "Clara," he said, his voice low, husky with more than just sleep. She spun, eyes wide, horror written across her delicate face. She stammered, searching for words, apologies tumbling at the edge of her lips. But he lifted a hand, stopping her. "Don't," he whispered. "Don't hide what I just saw." The room fell silent, thick with the weight of unspoken truths. Clara's eyes shone with unshed tears, her lips trembling as though she stood on the edge of flight. But James rose slowly from the chair, every step deliberate, until he stood before her, close enough to catch the scent of lavender clinging to her dress. He tipped her chin up gently, forcing her gaze to meet his. "You think I don't notice you," he murmured. "But I see you, Clara, every day. And tonight, you've shown me more courage than I deserve." Her breath caught, and for a heartbeat, time held its breath with her. The rancher and the maid, 2 worlds apart, stood bound by the fragile, undeniable thread of something neither had dared name. And though neither knew where it would lead, both felt the stirrings of a story that would change them forever.